Panpsychism is a philosophical theory that asserts that all things have a mind or mind-like aspect. It is derived from the Greek words pan, all, and psyche, soul or mind. Panpsychists believe that consciousness is a fundamental and ubiquitous feature of reality, and that it is present in everything from subatomic particles to planets to stars. Bear in mind that this video is just an overview of a complex philosophy. Let me know in the comments if you would like a deeper dive into various aspects. And, if you disagree with this philosophy, I present some con ideas at the end. Panpsychists typically assert that consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality, just like matter and energy. They reject the view that consciousness is an emergent property of complex brains. Instead, they argue that it is present in all things, even if it is only in a rudimentary form. There are many different varieties of panpsychism, but they all share the core view that consciousness is ubiquitous in nature. Some panpsychists argue that all things have the same basic kind of consciousness, while others argue that there are different levels of consciousness, with humans having the most complex and sophisticated form that we know of today. Panpsychism is a controversial theory, but it has gained renewed interest in recent years due to advances in neuroscience, quantum physics, as well as its possible use in artificial intelligence research. Some scientists believe that panpsychism may offer a way to explain the hard problem of consciousness, which is the question of how physical processes in the brain can give rise to subjective experience. Now, let's review the history of panpsychism. Panpsychism has a long and distinguished history, dating back to the ancient Greeks. The philosopher Thales of Miletus is often credited with being one of the first to articulate a panpsychist view of the world. He argued that everything in the universe is alive and conscious due to everything consisting of one of the four elements of earth, water, air, and fire. Another early proponent of panpsychism was the Greek philosopher Heraclitus of Ephesus. Heraclitus believed that the world is in a state of constant flux and change. He also believed that everything in the universe is interconnected, and that everything has a role to play in the cosmic order. Plato endorsed panpsychism. He believed that all things, including material objects, have a kind of soul or consciousness. He argued that the soul is immortal and that it pre-exists the body. During the Middle Ages, panpsychism was largely dormant in Western philosophy with the exception of some philosopher-theologians like Saint Augustine of Hippo who used it as an argument for God. However, it did continue to be examined by some Muslim philosophers, such as Avicenna. Avicenna believed that consciousness is a fundamental property of all existence, including inanimate objects. He argued that consciousness is simply the awareness of one's own existence. Even inanimate objects, such as rocks and stones, are aware of their own existence, even if their consciousness is very rudimentary. Panpsychism experienced a revival of interest during the Renaissance. This was due in part to the influence of Neoplatonism, a philosophical system that emphasized the unity and interconnectedness of all things. Neoplatonist philosophers, such as Marsilio Ficino and Giordano Bruno, believed that the world is a hierarchy of being, with God at the top and inanimate matter at the bottom. Consciousness, for Neoplatonists, is a universal property of all existence, but it is most fully expressed in God. In the early modern period, panpsychism was championed by philosophers such as Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz and Baruch Spinoza. Leibniz argued that the universe is made up of an infinite number of monads, which are tiny, indivisible units of reality. Monads are said to be conscious. Leibniz believed that the complexity of consciousness varies from monad to monad. Spinoza also believed that consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality. He argued that God is the only substance and that all things are modes of God. This means that all things, including humans, are conscious. Panpsychism declined in popularity in the late 19th and early 20th centuries due to the rise of physicalism, the view that the physical world is all that exists. However, panpsychism has seen a revival in recent years, due in part to technological and scientific advances in neuroscience and quantum physics. These breakthroughs have led to some considering that pure physicalism may not be a complete and accurate view of the world. David Chalmers is an Australian philosopher who is best known for his work on the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem of consciousness is the problem of explaining how consciousness arises from the physical world. Chalmers argues that the hard problem of consciousness cannot be solved by physicalist theories of the mind, and that he favors a panpsychist solution. Philip Goff is a British philosopher who is best known for his work on panpsychism. Goff has developed a panpsychist theory of consciousness based on the idea of proto-consciousness. Proto-consciousness is a very basic form of consciousness that is present in all things. Goff argues that proto-consciousness becomes more complex as we move up the evolutionary scale. Galen Strawson is a British philosopher who is best known for his work on panpsychism and free will. Strawson argues that panpsychism is the most plausible theory of consciousness, and that it is compatible with free will. There are many different varieties of panpsychism, but they all share the core view that consciousness is ubiquitous in nature. Here are 4 of the more common views. Neutral monism is a view that holds that there is only one kind of substance, which is neither physical nor mental. Consciousness is seen as a fundamental property of this substance. In the cosmopsychism view, it is held that the universe as a whole is conscious. The pan-experientialism view makes the argument that all things have some kind of subjective experience, even if it is only in a rudimentary form. The view of pan-protopsychism asserts that all things have a kind of proto-consciousness, which is a rudimentary form of consciousness that is present in all things, including subatomic particles. Panpsychism has both pros and cons as a philosophy. Let's take a look at some of them, beginning with the pros. Can panpsychism solve the hard problem of consciousness? The hard problem of consciousness is the problem of explaining how consciousness arises from the physical world. Panpsychism solves this problem by positing that consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality, and that it is present in all things, even inanimate objects. This means that there is no need to explain how consciousness arises from the physical world, because it is already there. Supporters of the philosophy of panpsychism say that it is compatible with science because it does not require any new scientific laws or principles. All that panpsychism requires is a reinterpretation of the existing scientific data. For example, panpsychists argue that the quantum entanglement of particles can be explained by the presence of consciousness in these particles. They will also contend that it offers a more unified picture of the universe than other theories of consciousness. This is because panpsychism does not make any distinction between the physical and the mental. In panpsychism, everything is both physical and mental at the same time. This makes panpsychism a more elegant and parsimonious theory of reality. Another potential pro is that panpsychism could have a positive impact on our relationship with the natural world. If we believe that all things are conscious, we may be more likely to treat them with respect and compassion. Panpsychism could also have a positive impact on our understanding of ourselves. If we believe that consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality, we may be more likely to see ourselves as part of something larger than ourselves. Now, let's take a look at some of the cons and contrary opinions. Opponents of panpsychism assert that it is a counterintuitive theory because it suggests that consciousness is present in everything, even inanimate objects. This is difficult to accept, because they tend to think of consciousness as something that is unique to humans and other animals. They write it off as a clever updated version of animism. They find that panpsychism raises a number of difficult questions, such as the following. How can consciousness be present in inanimate objects? What is the relationship between consciousness and the physical world? How does consciousness evolve? Does panpsychism imply that everything is alive? Critics also say that there is currently no scientific evidence to support panpsychism. This is because consciousness is a very difficult thing to measure. However, panpsychists argue that the lack of empirical evidence does not mean that panpsychism is false. They argue that panpsychism is a metaphysical theory, and that such theories cannot be tested by empirical means. To which, critics will respond, how convenient. Overall, panpsychism is a fascinating and thought-provoking theory of consciousness. It has a number of advantages over other theories of consciousness, but it also raises a number of difficult questions. More research is needed to determine whether or not panpsychism is a viable theory of consciousness. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this video and feel free to comment to let us know your thoughts on it. Also, check out our other study review videos on other philosophers and philosophies.